Hi everyone, it's Katy Ganz. I'm the speech therapist for the Tuscarawas County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And this week we're going to be talking about baking with kids and what are some tips and tricks that can really help you get the most educational experience out of baking with your kids. So, number one, basic concept of big and small. Easy to do when you're cooking. For instance, you might want to just take your measuring spoons. I like to ask, when I'm using my tablespoon or my teaspoon, which one is big, or you can ask which one is small. Same thing with your measuring cups. You can really work on these concepts of big and small. You could even use synonyms like little and large. Which one is giant sized? All these different adjectives and that basic concept of size can really be explored when you're cooking a recipe and in a more of a natural environment. Number two, I like to actually use the objects or items I'm cooking with to do sequencing. So I might ask, after we've mixed a couple things, what came first, the oil or the flour? And have the child point to it, or if you're using multiple items, you can actually have them move them around on the table and put them in order from first to last. This is working on time concepts and that idea of sequencing. You can use things like which came first and which came last, which came before, which came after. These are all great time concepts that you can work on while cooking, again, in a natural environment, really easy. Number two, I like to use more and less. More and less is a harder concept for our preschoolers and even for some of our older kids. And it's a basic concept of math, but it's also a language concept that we don't usually think about having to learn, but you do. So when measuring especially liquids in one of those liquid measuring cups, it's nice to have two and ask which one has more and which one has less. You can also work on full and empty. More and less is sometimes a harder concept for kids to get, so you can even pour things back and forth. Make sure you don't mess up your recipe measurements though. But that concept of more and less is really important for math. Next, number four, I like to use the words ingredients and utensils. This can be harder for some of our younger kids or our kids with lower level language skills. However, it's really nice for sorting. So I have my kids sort things from what's an ingredient and what's a utensil, or what is a tool I'm going to be using in order to make this. It's really good to sort those food and non-food items as another way you can think of it and use it. But if kids decide to pursue cooking in the future, these are two words they're going to hear a lot, is that word utensil and ingredient. And it's really giving sorting. Sorting and classification is another basic language skill and basic concept skill we want our kids to have. It's super easy to do when we're cooking. We can also work on wet and dry ingredients. When you're making a cake, you have to mix all the dry ingredients first and then the wet ingredients. Another great basic concept that you can cover while cooking. All right, I also love to talk about salty or sour and salty. So comparing flavors. Bitter is another good one if you're baking with baking cocoa. You can also work on, like I said, sweet with the sugar. These are flavor concepts. They work on the sense of taste. So you can talk about taste. You can talk about what you like and don't like. Preference is a great thing to talk about when cooking. Some people love sour foods, but some people like salty foods. There you go, salty foods. So it allows you to cover all those different flavor concepts. Also really interesting, I'm going to share with you some pictures. We don't even realize how many graphics are available on the back of a baking mix. Nowadays, a baking mix includes a lot of picture directions and instructions. So we love using picture recipes with our kids at school, but when you don't have a color printer available and you don't have those recipes right away, it's okay. Look on the back of your box. So for instance, here's the back of a box of Duncan Hines. You can see that it gives you a bunch of different ingredients that you can use, those eggs, water, and vegetable oil. It also gives you your 3 steps you're going to need to do to complete this recipe. But Duncan Hines isn't the only cake mix that offers these visuals. Here's an excellent example of one from Betty Crocker. So again, you have the ingredients at the top and you have the steps going down the side. You also have alternatives of things you can add. So when you're thinking about doing cooking at home, try and incorporate some of these basic language concepts and basic skills. It'll help your kids become more prepared for future endeavors, whether it's math or language concepts at home. Cooking is a great way to address a basic functional skill we all need, and it's a great way to bond over simple things. Lastly, I do want to mention that if you're out of ideas and you're wondering how to get simple recipes for kids, both Pillsbury and Betty Crocker have a email newsletter that they will send you that have simple 2, 3, 4 ingredient recipes. So you have to sign up for those on their websites. All right, well, that's all. I look forward to seeing you guys next week with another video blog full of fun and helpful tips to enjoy your stay at home. Until then, be safe and be healthy. Bye.